Baker Mayfield has signed a one-year contract with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, so I'm going to try to win a Super Bowl in one season here in Madden 23. In case you're new to the channel and don't know this about me, I am a massive Oklahoma Sooners fan. I've lived in Oklahoma my entire life, and that probably explains why Baker Mayfield is my favorite college quarterback of all time, so I want to see if I can try to win a Super Bowl with him. For this one and only offseason that we're going to do, we have $41.6 million to start, but 28 players ready to negotiate their contracts. The first contract I'm going to throw out is the middle linebacker Lavonte David. We're going to try to keep him. I know the Buccaneers just signed him in real life, and we get to keep him here. And then there's defensive back Jamel Dean, who is an 84 overall. We're going to offer this 3-year contract. Hopefully he comes back, and he will also be re-signing. Those are going to be the only two players I actually offer contracts to. Everyone else I'm going to let hit free agency, as we will go in with $20 million. Looking around the team to see if there was anyone we can get rid of to save some cap space, and I found left tackle Donovan Smith. He is 30 years old, only a 73 overall, and we would save $15 million by getting rid of him, and that's exactly what we're going to do. I'm not even going to try to trade him, we are just going to cut him. So obviously for right now, ignore the quarterback position. I will be going after Baker Mayfield. Hopefully I can sign him, otherwise this video is completely and totally pointless. But the rest of the offense doesn't look bad. You still have Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Russell Gage, and Cade Otton. We also have 2 superstar depth traits on the O-line. The defense has a couple spots to fill here. I don't think Lavonte David can play both middle linebacker and outside linebacker. That would be pretty impressive though. Shaq Barrett is currently injured, out for 26 more weeks. We may need to get another outside linebacker just in case he can't come back. And we're clearly going to need a strong safety. Now, usually in these rebuilds, I give myself about 3 seasons to try to win a Super Bowl, but Baker only signed a 1-year contract, so that's why I decided to only do 1 season. The first 3 contracts I am throwing out are to CJ Gardner-Johnson, Zach Allen, and Baker Mayfield. So let's see if we can land all 3 of these guys here. They have all signed, and we do land all 3, so this will probably be our entire free agent class. Never mind, I actually lied about that last statement. That was not our entire free agent class. I also signed Quincy Williams just to have some depth to the team, or if we don't find an outside linebacker that I really like in the draft. We are now at the NFL draft here, and the Bears have the number 1 pick, so let's see where they go with it. They will take Brian Bresee. That's where they always go in this draft class that I've been using lately. Number 2, Bryce Young to the Texans. 3 is going to be CJ Stroud to the Cardinals. Number 4 is going to be Will Anderson to the Colts, and number 5 will be Trenton Simpson from Clemson to Seattle. And with our first round pick in this draft, I'm going to take right tackle Zion Nelson out of Miami, and he will have a hidden depth trade. I will most likely play him at left tackle though. And with our second round pick, I'm going to take defensive back Emmanuel Forbes out of Michigan, and he will also come in with a hidden depth trade. And with our third round pick, I'm going to take right outside linebacker Quincy Mackey out of Alabama, who will also come in with a hidden depth trade. If you've never seen any of my rebuilds, the way I generally do things is that I pick in the first 3 rounds and then I let the computer take over from there. But we did end up taking a 71 overall right tackle, who I already moved to left tackle, in Zion Nelson, a 71 overall corner, a 72 overall outside linebacker, a 70 overall receiver is what the computer took in the 5th round, a 65 overall middle linebacker, a 60 overall quarterback, and a 68 overall wide receiver. Here will be your starting offense for the one and only season I am doing on this. Baker Mayfield is obviously the starting quarterback. That's the whole point in the video. Leonard Fournette is the running back. Mike Evans and Chris Godwin at wide receiver. Nothing really changed on the offense too much besides Baker Mayfield and Zion Nelson. And here is your starting defense, obviously led by Lavonte David and new addition CJ Gardner-Johnson. Normally I simulate all the way until the playoffs, but this time, because we're only doing 1 season, let's simulate the mid-season and figure out exactly where we stand. Well, I would say this season is not going exactly as we planned. We are currently 2-5. We're the number 32 offense in points per game and the number 13 defense. That is not exactly good. Mayfield currently has about 1,600 yards, 10 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. Running the ball, Leonard Fournette only averaging 3.9 yards a carry. And receiving, we only have 3 touchdowns to Russell Gage, 2 to Tyler Johnson, 3 to Mike Evans. Where is Chris Godwin? He is all the way down here with no catches? What is going on? Well, looking at the offense, it looks like Leonard Fournette and Chris Godwin are both injured. Godwin's only out 1 more week. Fournette is out another 2 weeks. What happened to Godwin though? He has no stats on the year. A broken tailbone. Well, I guess from here we'll jump to the end of the season and see if we can save this season at all. Otherwise, this was a complete and total failure. Baker Mayfield finishes the year with 4,400 yards, 25 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions. Running the ball, Fournette ran for 500 yards and 8 scores. Receiving, Russell Gage went over 1,000 yards and 5 touchdowns. Mike Evans over 1,000 yards and 6 touchdowns. Chris Godwin did get involved in the second half of the year for 600 yards and 2 scores. What about defense? What happened there? Levante David led the team in tackles with 135. Sacks goes to Vita Vea with 9. And interceptions goes to Levante David, Jamel Dean, and CJ Gardner-Johnson, who all got 3. Josh Allen leads the league in passing yards with 5,400. Touchdowns goes to Patrick Mahomes. Interceptions goes to Jared Goff, who threw 21 of them. Running the ball, Derrick Henry ran for 1,600 yards, which led the league, and Joe Mixon for 19 touchdowns, which led the league. Cooper Kupp with 114 receptions, 1,700 yards, and 15 touchdowns, but Justin Jefferson and Christian Watson both caught 16. The Baker Mayfield experiment 100% failed. We finished as dead last in offensive points per game with only 19.5. Top 10 in defensive points per game, which is good, but we finished 6-11, completely missed the playoffs, and obviously this is considered a failure, and I think the Buccaneers would probably move on.